Whether you're currently on a GLP-1 thinking about coming off or worried that you might lose access to it someday, this episode is going to be for you. GLP-1 can quiet food noise. We know this, right? But it doesn't automatically build habits. And so when habits aren't in place, coming off the medication can feel scary. It can feel scary, overwhelming, unpredictable. And so today we're going to be talking about how you can prepare before you transition off of the medication. So that way you're not relying on hope and willpower, but you're actually relying on habits that you can trust. So today, I'm super excited. I am joined again by Coach Alex McBrairty. Oh my goodness, I'm always messing up his last name. Sorry, Alex. Alex McBrairty. And together, we're going to have a really honest, grounded conversation about food noise versus emotional eating, about hunger as an emergency, about proactive eating versus reactive eating, and then how to know when you're truly ready to transition off of GLP-1s. So whether you're choosing to come off or you're losing access unexpectedly, these are the things that we're going to talk about. And a quick side note, before we dive in, I want to say I'm super excited for my most recent registrants. My 6-week Kickstart Challenge, round 12, just kicked off this week. And so Kickstart, round 12, rock stars are in the house. We got all 12. I'm so pumped for 12, the incredible 12 of the round 12 rock star women. If you're listening, so excited for this next 6 weeks. And if you missed it, if you missed this round, don't worry. Make sure you get your name on the priority list because the next one's coming in March 2026. Kickstart round 13, lucky 13. And the link to get on that priority list is going to be in the show notes. So go check that out. Get on the priority list. That's right around the corner. Before you know it, it's going to be here. So go get on the list so you'll be first notified when I do early open. You'll get the first chance, the first dibs at coming into lucky 13. All right, girl. Let's get into this conversation because this one is going to help a lot of women feel calmer, prepared, and more confident about what comes next. Welcome back to Rock That Fitness with Anna Rockstar and Alex McBrairty. I'm always afraid I'm going to say her name wrong. Did I say it right that time?
No, you got it right.
Right on, Alex.
It was the exuberance you had, and then you paused.
Alex McBrairty.
Yeah.
Welcome back, my friend. I'm so glad. It's so honored to have you back on the show. And we're gonna jam and talk about GLP-1 today and the idea of transitioning off. And we've got so many great things to talk about. But first, can you introduce yourself to our listeners? This is your second time here. Last time, I don't even remember what we talked about. I do remember, I think it was the Socratic questioning, I think, came up.
Ooh, it might have been.
I think.
Good topic. Yeah.
Anyways, tell us about you.
Relevant. Yes, my name is Alex McBrairty. I am a career fitness coach. Been doing this full time for 12 years, stemming from my personal nearly 100-pound weight loss journey.
Yes.
Which led me into a love of fitness, which led me then to get my degree in psychology, which led me to the fitness industry because I had no idea what I wanted to do for a living, and stumbled upon this field, which I immediately fell in love with and have been doing it ever since. And now I use psychology to make fat loss easy.
Imagine. I love that. And we met at Raise the Bar. It's been, 2 years now? Probably.
No,
that was a long time ago.
It was last year.
Was it?
Yeah. It hasn't even been a year
It
yet.
was. Isn't that crazy? Oh, my goodness. That was early in the year. I think it was February, right?
It was February. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. It hasn't even been a year. I feel like I've known you for a long time. Do you feel the same? Is this just me? It feels like we've known each other a long time. It's like you're my brother.
I have that effect on people because they're like, been dealing with me for so long.
This effect on people. Yeah. Yeah.
I've been putting up with Alex for that long.
No. What's going on in your world? What's new? What's new with you?
You know, honestly, we're trying to survive the winter over here on the East Coast.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Along with a lot of the rest of the country, too.
You know, and it's interesting because we got our first, in my opinion, respectable snowstorm. I'm originally from the Midwest, from Michigan. So winter, I know winter.
I respect.
And we got
Yeah.
our first like 12-inch snowstorm here in Jersey since I've lived here.
Jeez.
And it sucks as much as I remember.
Wow. Well, I don't envy that.
All the way down there in Texas. Yeah.
Sun is shining right now here. Yeah.
But in any event, we're just a day at a time.
Yeah.
Excited for the new year, new possibilities, new things.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also have in common our love for music. Maybe in different ways.
Are you referring to the time that I had to sing to you before I realized that you were a rock star? Genuinely?
Yeah, what was that song again? Oh, you're going to remember it.
Living on a Prayer.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was, what was that, a getting to know you people thing at the Raise the Bar?
Icebreaker.
Yeah, we just happened to be sitting next to each other. Yeah, icebreaker.
And
that was great.
of course, I'm sitting next to the one musician who does this.
Yeah, but we connected even more because you shared your love for dance, and not just dancing, but you were like a trained dancer, and you compete in dancing and all this really cool stuff. I think that's so amazing.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's been a great. I think for me, I spent the first nearly decade of my career entirely focused on work, as the trope goes, right?
Okay.
My entire life was work. The joke at the time when I was living in Michigan is my friends all paid me because they were my clients who I talked to more than anyone else. And so when I made the transition, I made a concerted effort to then rebuild my social life just for personal reasons. And dance, still in my opinion, although biased, is the best way to do that.
That's wonderful. I think it's healing. I think dancing is healing also. I think just it does something inside of us that nothing else can do. And I love it. I love it. I love that movement. Well, yeah. Anyways, let's talk about this topic. We were talking about this before we got on, what we were going to talk about. We were talking about what we were going to talk about, and now we know what we're going to talk about. So, but I'm really going to let you lead the conversation. Really, I'm going to share with our listeners what we're going to talk about, kind of the points that we're going to make. And I know you have some very, very, invaluable insight on all of this. And so I'm excited to hear what you have to share. This is kind of, everyone listening, this is sort of like, okay, let's go to the next very interesting, very important topic having to do with GLP-1, but from a whole different angle of the person who is going to potentially transition off of being on a GLP-1 for whatever reason. The main topics that we're going to cover in this conversation today, if you don't mind, Alex, I'm just going to tell the points, is we are going to talk about something that, I hadn't even thought about this, but food noise versus emotional eating. And that's a thing. And we're going to talk about hunger as it's not an emergency. And then you mentioned something that you wanted to get into, talking about proactive versus reactive eating. And then you have something that you coined yourself because you're so creative and you're just filled with so many ideas. The dark triad of overeating, which that's going to be interesting. And then we'll talk a little bit about the importance and what to do and how to do these things that we want to transition, but being smart about it and knowing when is the right time and how to do that using habits and signs that you're ready to transition. So yeah, those are the things we're going to cover. Should we just go in that order, or is there something in there you think we should start first?
No, I think we could just rock it.
Yeah. All right, let's jam. So we were talking about, because, food noise is the thing everybody's talking about. Like, it's the rave, food noise. And the concept, when we were talking about it, it sparked a memory for you or a recent conversation you had with one of your clients, right? Having to do with emotional eating and quieting the food noise, and how these emotional eating patterns can still exist underneath, even though you're using the medication. So do you want to talk to that?
Yes. Absolutely. But first, I want to set some context because I think that's really, really important. And I know you've
Okay.
talked
Yeah.
about GLP-1s, but I think to just frame everything that we talk about
Cool.
is crucial. So really what we're talking about is in the context of being on GLP-1 medications and considering coming off. That's an important transition that a lot of
Being
people
on.
will
That's right.
experience. Being on and considering transitioning off.
Okay.
And as I'm sure we'll talk about later, there's a number of reasons why you may want to do that. But that's an important recognition because we're considering everything we talk about in that transition in the guise of having the benefits of the medication, predominantly reduction in appetite, slow digestion, so you feel full longer,
Yeah.
and a reduction in food noise, most relevant to what you just said.
Yep.
So we're not thinking about food as much, but also important because it reduces the dopamine response from food, so it just is less fun,
Okay. Yeah.
which is a
Makes
crucial.
sense. Yeah.
So with those benefits, and then as you begin to transition off, those are going to come back to pre-medication levels, usually. And that's a very important thing to understand because if you don't have a plan for how to address them, which is a lot of what we're talking about today, then the same problems you had before you got on the medication will return. And we're going to talk about how not to do that.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely. I know people want to know this.
So I think the predominant thing, and that's what, for one added layer, that's what I help people with, me and my team. We help people who are on GLP-1s for however long they've been on them, for however much success they've seen. We help them when they want to transition off so that they can maintain the results that they saw sans medication.
Okay.
And so one of the important things is being able to overcome emotional eating and learn about our hunger cues. And so I had shared before we went live, I had shared an important story with you that one of our clients had shared with me from her time on medication. So this particular woman was taking GLP-1s for weight loss, ended up coming off before she hit her weight loss goal for a variable number of reasons. But what was most interesting is not the success she saw or didn't see on the medication, but it's what she experienced while she was on it. Because she experienced all those benefits I just mentioned. Reduced appetite, slow digestion, reduced food noise. And so in her words, if for her, the point where she was full, if we think about it on a scale 1 to 10, 10 out of 10 is you can't eat anymore, you're stuffed. She was consistently eating to a 10 pre-medication.
Okay.
Okay? And that was part of the problem. She wasn't able to control her eating. The food noise was constant. She was always thinking about food and thus always eating and overeating.
Okay.
Once she got on the medication, her ability to eat, she was only able to go to a 5 out of 10 before she couldn't eat anymore.
Okay.
Right? So a drastic reduction in the portions that she was eating,
Okay.
which is exactly what she was after with the medication.
Sure.
Right? Here's where this story gets interesting because we expect that. One of the things that she struggled, which is a common struggle for so many people, emotional eating. Eating for stress, eating for boredom,
Definitely.
eating for any reason other than actual genuine hunger
Right, right.
is so common. I know I
Yeah.
experienced this before I lost the weight. And even now, I mean, we had a snow day here when it was storming on Sunday. We got 12 inches of
Yeah.
snow.
Yeah.
We had a snack day,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Just to pass the time. And she discovered something interesting about herself while she was on the medication. She learned that even though she could only eat to a 5 out of 10 of fullness, so she was eating less, she couldn't eat a lot in a single sitting, she could consistently and constantly eat up to that 5.
Okay.
And so because a lot of her hunger was driven by emotion, stress, boredom, pleasure, etc., she could still eat more frequently throughout the day and constantly be eating. Never a lot at one time, but frequently.
Okay.
And it led her to still overeat, so she wasn't seeing any weight loss.
Okay, that makes sense.
And this is a really interesting thing for 2 reasons. One is if we don't learn to address non-hunger reasons for eating, when the appetite comes back, game over. Weight's going to come back on. Or we're going to struggle in much the same way we did without the medication. And if we don't address it, it could present a problem even on the medication.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
And I share this story first because I think it's a great highlight of the fact that the medication provides a lot of benefits, but it cannot solve all of the problems. And if we are not still addressing the underlying challenges to our health in terms of our nutrition, in terms of movement, if we are not building the exact same habits we'd have to do without the medication while on it, we're going to struggle with the same problems we've always struggled with when we come off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the underlying theme of everything we talk about today.
Okay. No, that's great. That makes a lot of sense. And it just seems to be just a reoccurring theme with every time I talk about this topic, that we still have to do important work.
Yeah.
Even if you're on the medication, and even eliminating or decreasing that food noise, even that is not enough for this underneath the underlying things. So does this lead us into talking about proactive versus reactive eating?
I think we're going to jump ahead a little bit.
Okay.
To that.
Which one?
Dark triad.
The dark triad.
The dark triad. But before I talk about that, I want to say this. Here's best case scenario. You get on the medication, or you're taking the medication actively, and you're experiencing those benefits that it gives us from an appetite perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not experiencing any of the side effects that make it miserable. Then, because objectively, experiencing those benefits that the medications provide creates an environment that can make it easier to work on the lifestyle changes.
True.
Because now you're not dealing with the constant food noise. You have a lower appetite, so learning how to eat less, learning how to develop a good meal plan for yourself in terms of structure and scheduling and all of that.
Right.
And putting all these lifestyle pieces into place can be easier.
Mm-hmm. Right,
because
right.
you're not also dealing with the challenge of combating your own cravings.
Yes. Yeah, that's great. That's, to me, that sounds like, it's a great way to just explain how it can be such a great tool to actually help you start making
100%.
consistent, like making your habits consistent. Yeah.
100%. And the other way, even not from a nutrition perspective, from an exercise and movement perspective, if you've lost 50 pounds on GLP-1s, even if you haven't been active, now that you've lost that weight, losing 50 pounds objectively, no matter who you are, is going to make it easier to move.
Sure. To move. Yes. Makes sense. Yeah.
Physically, it's going to make it easier. Mentally, it's going to make it easier. You might feel less self-conscious.
Sure.
About the way
There's
your
a lot
body
of
moves.
reasons. Yeah. Yeah.
And so if the medications drive the weight loss in a way that makes that barrier of entry non-existent or
Right.
lesser, that in and of itself is a win. It creates a better context, an easier context to adopt the movement practices.
Yeah. So true. Yeah.
So, and to your point that you just said, that, in my opinion, is one of the best things these medications can do for people, is lessen the burden and the challenges to practicing these new lifestyle habits, making it easier.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me of, if you're a nurse, and anybody listening is a nurse, if a patient's going to be getting PT, but they have a lot of pain, well, we're going to get ahead of the pain first so they can make movement without all the pain. It's kind of like that.
100%. And so a good analogy I like to think of it is, of the benefits here, is if you're learning how to bowl for the first time, bowling, and you've never done it before, you're throwing gutter balls every time. Gutter balls. That's like trying to adapt lifestyle habits with constant cravings, with little confidence or self-esteem to actually adopt these practices, with not understanding how nutrition works.
Yeah.
You're going to gutter ball.
Makes sense. Yeah.
GLP-1s put the bumpers in.
There you go. Yeah, that's great. And that's like training wheels on a bike.
It's like training wheels on a bike. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I have a question, that just because we're talking about this and you were just talking about the client that was, sharing that even though she's on the medication, she was still having this emotional eating that was going on. I'm curious, what happened with that? What was the outcome? Where did that go?
It's a great follow-up question. So, and I'll preface it by saying emotional eating is very complex. It can happen for a variety of reasons. The overarching thing to start with is building awareness around it, knowing when we're actually succumbing to that temptation.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is, of course, with a food log. When we're writing down everything we're eating, not only can we see the patterns, so if there's a period of time where she's eating a predominant amount of her calories or choosing high calorie options or whatever the case is, and that's a recurring theme, then we can start to ask the questions, well, what is happening
Right.
at that time of day? What's
Yes.
going on in your life?
Right.
So start to build that awareness. But what she was also falling prey to, which we were just referencing earlier and we can dive into now, is, again, a very common thing and probably one of the most common reasons that people's diets go out the window is they fall prey to the dark triad.
Yeah. The dark triad. No, for real. I know my clients. I know I have some clients that have this too. So this is going to be very valuable. Please share. Please share.
And so this is the dark triad of overeating, not to be confused with the dark triad of essentially narcissism. Equally bad dark triad. But this one is a pattern that I've noticed in individuals who tend to struggle to balance their nutrition and avoid overeating. And it's 3 parts. And so as I'm explaining these, if you're listening to this, I want you to imagine the scenarios in which you might be falling into these traps. The first point of this dark triad, if you can think of a triangle, is you don't eat enough early in the day. Whether you're the coffee out the door, not eating anything until lunch individual,
Yeah.
whether you wait all day until you get home at the end of a long day because you just are too busy or you don't have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's too inconvenient to get meals, or you're just kind of snacking all day and not really having a satisfying meal.
Oh, yeah.
We can convince ourselves this is good, especially if we're trying to lose fat.
Right.
Because now it's, well, I'm saving calories, right? It's a good thing. I'm going to contribute to my calorie deficit. What can go wrong, though, is if we get to the end of the day and we are starving, the chances that we're going to overeat goes up just because we're hungry. Right? And this is true, medication or not.
Yes.
Extra true without medication. Once we've transitioned
Absolutely.
off,
Yeah.
when that appetite comes back and it's not controlled by the medication, this is going to get even worse.
Yeah.
People struggle without developing the skill and understanding of their hunger cues, struggle when they feel hungry. Have you ever felt this way, Anna?
Never. Well, years ago, I can say, yeah.
Years ago, we start
Absolutely.
to feel that rumbling in our stomach, and we think, holy crap, I'm hungry. I need to fix this.
Yeah, I got to fix it.
We got to fix it. And the trap that people can fall into with that, without understanding hunger cues, is they can mistake the feeling of hunger, the sensation of hunger, as being an emergency.
Yeah, something's wrong.
That something
We gotta fix it. Danger, danger. Yeah.
Now. And there are levels to hunger, right?
Yes.
There's hunger where if you're not doing anything, you might be like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry. But the moment you start engaging your mind in a task, you don't think about it. Right? Then there's hunger that's so bad that no matter what you do, it's distracting you.
Yes. I'm having that right now.
Well, here we are sitting in the afternoon. Here's how much we ate this morning, because that's what's common in people who fall into this first trap of the dark triad is they don't eat enough early in the day. By the time they get to a point where they can eat, they're so hungry that it's all they can think about.
Yeah.
And then that contributes to the second point of the triad, which is because you haven't eaten all day and because you have so many calories left to spend.
Yes.
We now have an easy justification to choose high calorie foods.
Right. Yes. Makes sense,
and
right? I can eat whatever I want because look at all these calories I have.
I can eat
I may as well just eat what I want right now. I may as well.
100%.
Look at all these calories.
100%. There's no way it's going to send me over.
Right.
I have so many calories to spend.
Just eat whatever I want right now. Yeah.
Whatever I want.
Yeah. And I think we all can, relate to that.
I have done this recently.
Sure. Yeah. Same. I can relate. We all do it.
So it's incredibly easy to make that justification.
Yeah.
Which is then reinforced by the level of hunger that we're feeling. Because we're like, I have so many calories to spend and I'm so hungry. That's proof that I haven't eaten a lot today.
Right.
This will be fine. I can choose whatever I want. So we're starving because we haven't eaten. And we can justify high calorie choices. Choices that are off of our intended plan. Things that we don't want to be eating. And then because it's the end of the day, we have no more willpower.
Right.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Those little mental chaperones and voices in our head that are like, should we really be doing this right now? They have gone silent.
They're sleeping.
They've had a long day too.
Yeah. They're fatigued.
And I know by now everyone understands that willpower is a finite resource.
Sure.
It's not endless. Every decision we make, related to food, related to work, related to which road we're going to take on the way home, what music station we're going to play in the car, what Spotify playlist we're going to put on, drains that willpower. And so by the time we get home at the end of the day, there's simply not a lot left.
Yeah.
And now we're in the perfect storm of this dark triad, which is we haven't eaten, so we're starving. We have a justification to choose high-calorie foods, and we have no internal voice to tell us when to stop.
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
And when those things are true, we overeat.
Yeah.
Guaranteed every time. Guaranteed every time. But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because we do that, now we overeat at night, we're uncomfortable, we don't feel great. Right? And this, again, can happen in the context of GLP-1s. This is what happened with the woman who shared that conversation about the emotional eating. She would feel so physically uncomfortable. So GLP-1s just means that the total quantities might be less, or it might be spread out over a period of time. But it also means that the physical discomfort is probably going to be greater when you overeat on the medications. But in any case, she's physically uncomfortable. So then what happens? She wakes up the next day and she doesn't want to eat because the painful memory of the discomfort is fresh. So she doesn't eat all day. And then she gets home. She has a justification to eat a lot because now she's starving. And she has no willpower to say no. And it goes on and on and on. It's a dark cycle.
Yeah. Does that lead us into talking about the proactive versus reactive eating?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
So how do you explain proactive versus reactive eating?
Great question. Proactive eating in a nutshell is thinking and planning your meals ahead of time. We have a saying with our clients and our members that if you wake up and you have no idea what you're eating that day, you are already screwed.
But you don't have to be. You don't have to be.
But you don't have to be. Reactive eating is what a lot of people fall into, which is they make it up as they go.
Yeah.
They feel hungry, and then they ask the question, what
should I eat? Yeah.
What should I eat? Right?
Yeah. That tends to be, like, I don't know, the biggest problem. It's a big problem to not plan.
100%. For a variety of reasons. One is once we've eaten something, we can't take it back. Right? But also, if we're waiting until we're feeling the physical sensations of hunger, because a lot of people mistake it as an emergency, because a lot of us are falling prey to the dark triad of overeating, is now we're trying to make food choices in the context of all of these other cues: emotional, physical, mental. And it's more difficult to make healthier, better choices in line with whatever our goals are, when we're in that state, then if we can have already made those decisions ahead of time,
Right.
when we're in a calmer, more settled, satisfied state, well, we make better choices.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so proactive versus reactive eating can take a couple of different, can look differently and be on different levels. So on the one hand, generally speaking, it's planning meals ahead of time, having an idea of what to do, having some fallback plans if the day goes awry, versus just deciding in the moment. But even when it comes down to, again, building the awareness around emotional eating, using a food log, which is one of the best things you can do to build that awareness, strategically is entering your food into the log before you've eaten it is the proactive behavior.
Yeah.
Reactive is you might still be entering it and tracking your eating, but you do it after you eat it.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing worse. 2 examples. There's nothing worse than either of these 2 examples, and maybe you've experienced these, Anna, because I certainly have. First is you eat something that wasn't worth it. It didn't taste good.
Yes.
And then I enter it in my food log, and it's way more calories than I would have liked to have spent on something that wasn't even worth it.
Yeah. That's feedback.
Right? That is feedback. The other challenge is thinking you have enough calories in your plan for something, eating it, logging it, and realizing you in fact did not. And now you're over for the day. So being proactive on every stage of this is only going to be beneficial. Because on the one hand, directly related to that dark triad, if we have a plan and we have meals set up, we reduce the risk that we're going to go all day without eating.
Mm-hmm.
So we're eating a satisfactory breakfast. We have strategic snacks planned if we need it. We have a good lunch planned. And when we eat regularly throughout the day, those planned meals, now we're going to reduce the chances that we go all day without eating because we don't have things with us, because the day goes crazy, whatever the case is. And then that's going to reduce the hunger.
Right.
But also when we've been proactive, when we've planned what our meals are going to look like that day and how we're going to have them with us physically, we've now eaten more, so we're less hungry, as we just established. But now, because we've eaten more and we have less calories, we have less justification to choose high-calorie foods. Because now it's clear that we can't just do whatever we want.
Yeah. And also, you're less inclined to even
Want
desire it. Yeah.
100%. 100%.
So, helps.
Yeah. Because you're more satisfied.
Right. Yep.
But then the best way to overcome low willpower at the end of the day is to have a plan.
Yeah. Plan.
Because a plan is just having made the decision already.
Right.
And so now we don't have to burden an already burdened system with more decisions because they're already made.
Yep. Point made. So, does that take us to discussing habits and transitioning off of GLP-1? Back to the GLP-1 topic.
It certainly can. 100%. Well, let's talk about it. So all of that has to do with, right, because we established that being on GLP-1s is not going to solve the challenges that have led us to overeat. It's going to solve the food noise. It's going to solve appetite and cravings. It's going to suppress those things. It's going to create the context that makes it easier to produce the lifestyle changes, but it does not create the lifestyle changes.
Right.
And so everything we've talked about, understanding this dark triad, understanding that it's important to be proactive versus reactive eaters, to have those plans. Now we put that in the context of how do we organize this and start working on this if we're an individual on these medications that eventually wants to come off. Right? That's what we're talking about now.
Yep, that's next.
And so, again, what we have to understand when we talk about this transition, there's 2 parts. There's a physical and there's a psychological. The physical part is the appetite's going to come back. The food noise risks coming back. We're going to be able to eat more. So we need to expect that to be true. Psychologically, we're going to be afraid. We're going to be afraid that the weight's going to come back.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, because you've been on this tool that's been helping.
And that, as we know, can do all sorts of things to ruin people. They start doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
Yeah.
To quench that fear, right? Trying to eat even less, going on very, very low calorie diets, over exercising.
Yeah, lots of exercising.
To try to make it up.
Right.
Right? All sorts of things.
Yeah.
And so the important thing is twofold. One, we have to learn how to control our appetite so that when it comes back, there's a plan. We're being proactive. Right?
Yep.
And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is this. One, working to identify emotional stress and boredom eating while you're still on the medication. So if you're not already keeping a food log, start one. Start to recognize those patterns. Either yourself looking at that or recruiting the help of a coach.
Mm-hmm.
To help get outside perspective on those patterns. Be able to see things that you're not able to see. Because when we recognize when we have the awareness of when the non-hunger eating is happening, we can start to figure out the habits we need to put that in place. Better meal structures, better meal composition, which leads into understanding nutrition for you, what you need to be doing for your goals.
Right.
Probably more protein, probably less processed foods most of the time. Figuring out how to do that. Getting the movement in. Again, we talked about how GLP-1s can make that easier if you've already lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
It's also extra important on those medications, as people by now probably already know, hear about muscle loss and preserving the muscle and all of that. So the more that we can, the same habits that are important without the medication, essentially. If we can build them in the context of less challenges because of the medication.
Yes.
And solidify them as new routines. When you come off and the appetite comes back, food noise comes back, you will be better positioned to keep those routines going. And they will serve you to keep the weight off.
Yeah. And then you just repeat and repeat and repeat.
Repeat and you repeat and you repeat. There's a woman that we work with who was on GLP-1. She lost over 60 pounds. Mm-hmm. She came off of the medication. Still tracks her eating, not as regularly, but periodically just to double check. She emphasizes protein. So the first question she asks when she's planning or getting ready to eat a meal is, where's the protein coming from?
Mm-hmm.
She has a regular workout routine that she follows. And this is even after her time with us. She's now doing this on her own. Okay. She's hitting the gym at least 3 times a week, if not more when she can. And she's now a year and a half post-medication and has kept all of the weight off.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. Because she established those habits during the time she was on it.
Built the habits while she was on the medication. And so when some of the appetite came back, she knew what to do.
Yeah. Yep. That's important. That's so important. And that's, just kind of a side note, the same thing for anybody who is working on living out a healthy and fit lifestyle and maintaining fat loss, is having these habits, because life gets crazy sometimes, and crazier sometimes than other times. And you have snowstorms and you have things that cause those feelings and emotions and wanting to emotionally eat. But when you actually have your habits established, then that's going to be helping you to foolproof going backwards into the old patterns and gaining the weight back. That's why it's so important, whether you're on the GLP-1s or not. But speaking of transitioning, let's talk about the 2 types we were going to talk about, at least 2 types of people that may be considering or will need to get off of a GLP-1 that we talked about. And I think we were saying someone who has been on it, it's been effective, they have reached their goals, but now they want to transition and not be relying on the medication anymore. There's that person. But there's also the person that has been on it, and for whatever reason in life, they need to get off of it. and they haven't really necessarily reached their goals or established their habits or that kind of thing, right? Those two types of people, because maybe that person no longer has access to the medication or cannot afford it or insurance isn't covering it anymore, but they have to come off. So which one of those do you want to talk about first in terms of transitioning and important points to make with that?
Well, let's start with the individuals who are on the medication and have reached their goal weight.
Okay.
It worked for all intents and purposes. It worked. Because that one's a slightly easier transition to make. And here's why. If you are on the medication and you've seen your goal weight, my recommendation is, even, of course, at the recommendation of your doctor and after consulting your doctor, is if you've stayed on it long enough to hit your goal weight, chances are good you don't have the side effects, the negative side effects that some people get. Chances are that insurance is covering it, or you're able to afford it and you're able to stay on it, and obviously it works for you. And that gives you a little bit more wiggle room, because it means either you're in the process of adopting these lifestyle changes concurrently with the medication, or you're not, and now you realize the importance of doing that, and you can start building those lifestyle changes. But you can sort of come off that medication when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because there are certainly people that will be on it for life for a number of different reasons, not all body weight related. It improves other medical conditions they have. It helps them with other things. And so if you're in this camp, you can take your time. So if you're this person who has seen the goal weight and hasn't built the lifestyle changes, you sort of relied on the effects of the medication, this is your sign to start building those lifestyle changes.
Yeah, build those habits.
If you eventually want to come off, take your time building the lifestyle changes, and then you can gradually come off once those are built. So you stand the best chance of maintaining it.
Yeah.
Right? The other group is a little bit tougher, because this group transitioning off is, again, as you mentioned earlier, because insurance stopped covering it, they can't afford the high monthly cost anymore, they have terrible negative side effects.
Okay, yeah, that's that one.
Put up with it anymore.
Right.
Or maybe they've just had enough and they don't want to be on the medication anymore. Whatever the case is, the assumption is these people are transitioning before they've hit their weight loss goal. Maybe they've seen some progress, maybe they've seen no progress, but they're getting off before they're where they would be most satisfied. This is hard because there is no taking your time. You're just now coming off.
Yeah.
Without preparation, without whatever. And so my recommendation for these individuals, if they have not already started making the lifestyle changes, the first thing I'm going to say is being off the medication is not a prison sentence to a life of being unhealthy. Because as we've established, the medication creates a context for it to be easier to hit these weight loss goals. But it is still not the only way to hit those goals.
Right.
And so these lifestyle habits can still be adopted. My recommendation is, if you're being thrust off the medication immediately and you don't have the lifestyle practices established, recruiting the help of a coach, a qualified coach, to support you is probably the best thing you can do.
Yes.
In place of the medication.
Like you.
Like yourself. Like any of the number of other great qualified coaches out there. Of course, do your due diligence and make sure they're good and they actually care about you and they want to help, right? That's important. But because they will be able to support you through a difficult journey.
Yeah.
Right? The last thing that we want to see for people is they are forced off the medication for one reason or another, or they decide to go off for one reason or another quickly. They don't have the lifestyle habits in place. So they go back to doing things they were doing before these medications existed.
Right.
Extreme restrictive dieting, super overly intense workout plans that they only stick to for a short period of time and don't really work, and risk injury, and doing all these things that they felt trapped in the first place, and just going back to a broken.
Yeah. So important to have that support, and not just any support, but support of a coach or a community, people who understand what's happening and can help you become aware of what's happening. What is the internal dialogue happening in the midst of those things? Help you become aware of those emotions and feelings and fears, and those fears that are driving that behavior, and then interrupt those patterns. But that's so important, Alex, that people, I don't think, realize they feel like they have to really white knuckle it and do it on their own. And that in itself creates even more fear and more setting themselves up for not the goals that they want, right? But yeah, like it's important. Like anyone listening, if that's you, I just want to say, give yourself permission to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed by having the support. Give yourself the support. You deserve that. Too many people think that they need to do it on their own. And if they can't do it on their own, they're a failure, which is the furthest thing from the truth, because we need support. We all do.
100%. 100%.
So what else were we going to talk about? Is that pretty much it? Like establishing these habits, coming off of GLP-1. I don't think you touched on anything having to do with the person that's coming off of the GLP-1. And not that I think you need to speak to this, but maybe you have some thoughts on it, that people are not just completely, most of them are not, if they have a plan and everything's steady, they're not just immediately coming off. Like there's a titration, right? They're like slowly backing off of the medication as they're transitioning with their new habits and behaviors, right?
Right.
Yeah. Not recommended if you're able to slowly come off of the medication.
Yeah, in most cases, very rarely is it not the case that you're right. They will come off gradually, lowering dosages until they're completely free of it. And so that in and of itself can sort of prove unhelpful from a behavioral sense, in that if someone is now choosing to go off and they don't have the lifestyle practices in place, they're now going to try to do their best to keep the weight off. And what they're going to find is, as they're slowly coming off of that medication with lower and lower dosages, the appetite coming back, the cravings coming back is not going to happen all at once. It's going to happen slowly. So there's going to be a period where they might be like, okay, this isn't so bad. I can do this. This is going to be fine.
Right.
And then the appetite comes back once they're finally off. And that's the moment where they're like, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yeah.
This is what I remember from before.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So it can be troublesome in that regard. They can give people sort of a little bit of a false sense of ability to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they quickly learn that the lifestyle habits are not in place. Almost in every scenario, people go back to the same habits they had without the help of the medication, which are the same habits that got them to the spot where they were unhappy.
Yeah.
And unhealthy.
I really want to give listeners this encouraging word, because first of all, and something that I repeat a lot, is that it's not your fault. Like, your brain has been wired this way. It's programming. And so the hope that there is in this is that we can actually rewire, we can reprogram our thinking if we are aware of it, so that we can interrupt those patterns. And the reason I'm saying that is because I can just imagine the fear that suddenly appears inside of somebody who is off of the medication now, and they're experiencing exactly what you just said. Like, oh my gosh, I'm hungry now. What do I do with this? And apparently, and they're overeating, and they're going back to the patterns of exercising a lot, and they're panicking. And they just need to be aware that this is normal. This is natural, normal. It's just that we've got to work on this pattern that's happening. And this goes back to what we were just talking about, because I just want to give hope. It's not your fault. So let's just look at it. You're not your brain, and you can become aware that your brain is doing this, and you can make decisions to interrupt it. That's why, to build the habit, we have to keep repeating the behavior that we desire. And by repeating and practicing it, and then when our subconscious mind, our brain, sees that it's working, even a little, now that confidence starts to come in. Mm-hmm. We gain confidence, and the brain is like starting to feel safe, like, oh, this works. And then, oh, this works. You just keep doing that. But we must keep repeating the behavior, as uncomfortable as it is, as doesn't feel like normal or right. It's a different pattern, but we have to keep repeating it. But the hope I'm saying is that don't, just because you're having these fears like, oh my gosh, the 100's back and you're panicking. That's normal. Take a step back and breathe and pause and understand that it's not your fault, but you have a lot of power here by recognizing and becoming aware that you can do something about this. Take action and keep taking action. Does that make sense? Because people are afraid. They're just afraid that they're not going to be able to change. But if they know that there is hope to change, that's why we just keep saying show up. Keep showing up. This is what we're saying. You got to keep showing up to repeat the behavior, to create that confidence, to create that safety that it's getting better in your mind. That's how we establish the habit. So I just wanted to wanted to interject the hope.
It's an important point. It's an important note, for sure. And I think I'm going to piggyback on that by saying that fear that people feel once they hit their weight loss goal, medication or not, of it coming back on is present in every single person I've ever seen successfully lose weight.
Absolutely, yes. Been there, yep.
And the answer that I constantly give, the response for how to overcome that fear, to your point, is time and consistently practicing the behaviors. Because if you're consistently practicing the behaviors, the habits, you will continue to see progress or maintain that progress. And as time goes on, watching yourself do that, you are proving to yourself that it's a lifestyle and not a phase.
That you're proving to your brain that you're changing and that it's okay to change, that it's safe.
And the more time that passes where you constantly show up and prove that to yourself, the lesser that fear becomes until it's non-existent.
And also, it's redefining you, your identity. Because as you keep on showing up like this, your brain is going, oh, this is who we are now. This is who we are now. And it just reinforces. So, well, that's been great. I think we're good. I think we covered all the points we wanted to cover today. Any last comments to wrap up what we've talked about today? Anything you want to drive home at the end of this?
To your wonderful monologue on hope, I want to say this. Because I know there's a lot of stigma with GLP-1 medication still. In fact, I just had a woman in our program confide in me after a year that she's been taking the medication and didn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Because of that stigma.
Yes.
And it's important that the people that we work with, that people in general who are either on the medication, considering taking the medication, considering coming off, anything related to this medication, is that there's nothing wrong.
That's right.
With being on it. There's nothing wrong with staying on it. There's nothing wrong with coming off.
Yes. It's a tool. That you can use,
That you can use.
Yeah.
And anyone who speaks poorly about it is just mad that they didn't have it when they were getting in shape. Because they
you think so?
would have been on it.
I didn't have it, and I'm not mad about it. Are you mad about it, Alex?
But you're not also anti it, right?
Yeah. No.
That's right. The people are super anti, like stigma, like, oh, it's cheating, it's a shortcut. Those people.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately is a lie in our industry.
Yes. Yeah. And I know that creates that, like you said, that stigma, and no one wants to say that they're on it. I know I have clients inside of Rock That Fitness that are on it, and there probably are some in there that haven't said that they are on it because of this stigma, Right. And if you're listening, this is your coach. And I want to know. Only because I want to support. I want to be able to be there and support them in this, while they're doing it. Because, to have the support that you're doing this and you are using this as a tool, it's good to know. And anyone out there, if you're on it and you have a coach and you're not, I'm not your coach, talk to your coach about it. They need to know. They need to know that you're using this medication. Right. It's important. And
me and my team are very intentional to create an environment where people feel comfortable sharing that, so that, to your point, we can help them the best we can.
Exactly. We want to be able to help the best that we can. Yes. Well, this has been great, Alex. We've had a great afternoon today. I'm hungry now, for real. And I did eat very well this morning, but I have not had my, I guess, second or third meal today, and I got to get in there. Um, where can people? I'm going to put in the show notes. You said you had a book that could be really helpful. That's on Amazon, right? It's on Amazon.
It is
So,
on Amazon. It's called
what's it
Your Next
called?
Chapter:
Okay,
How to Thrive After Semaglutide and GLP-1 Medications.
very good. We'll put that in the
And,
show notes.
and it's a fantastic starting point. If you're thinking about transitioning off GLP-1s, it covers everything from these nutrition habits we've been talking about, exercise habits, how to structure a plan for transitioning off, as well as the psychological and mental side of things.
Yeah.
There's like workbook activities. There's tons of great information in there, tools and techniques for anyone thinking about transitioning off. It really is a comprehensive book on that topic. So
Good.
that's always
Awesome. And if they
available.
want to follow you, where do they find you to follow you? Because you've got some great stuff out there
Best
on the
place to find
psychology.
me for more like fitness psychology
Yeah.
stuff is on Instagram _ateamfit, ATEAMFIT
Very
_ateamfit.
good. Well, thank you, Alex. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate your insights and all that you shared with us today. And I guess we will see you next time.
Thank you.
You bet. Rock on.